himself and others. And as the original emo kid, apparently, this is one thing he's quoted as saying. He says, "It is not my fault if I am like a mushroom which seems edible, but which poisons you if you pick it up and taste it, taking it to be something else. I know I have never been much use to anyone, and indeed not much use to myself." Poor Chopin. In a letter to a friend in 1834, Franz Liszt had this to say about Chopin. "Chopin is all sadness. Furniture is a little more expensive than he thought, so now we're in for a whole month of worry and nerves." Frederick also didn't really he thought, so Chopin is all sadness. Furniture is a little more expensive than he thought, so now we're in for a whole month of worry and nerves. Frederick also didn't really like to perform in public, and he did more so in his youth, probably out of necessity as opposed to love of performing, because later on he stopped performing nearly as frequently. He only performed about 30 times, like in big halls in his lifetime. The rest of the time he preferred to perform in salons, which are basically just like big parties for intellectuals, or even better, he really liked performing for friends in his own apartment. Despite people saying unfavorable things about Chopin's personality, he did have admirers and people who respected him, including George Sand's daughter Solange, who was one of the few people at Chopin's deathbed. She reminisces about him that he was a person of great integrity, honesty, generosity, and total devotion. And that concludes our discussion on Chopin and his history and his life and his times today. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for an upcoming video where we'll discuss the music of Chopin and get in depth and listen to some examples and stuff like that. Give it a thumbs up if you like history videos, and I will catch you next time. All right, here we go. Hello and welcome to another episode of Piano TV. So today I want to talk about the music of Chopin, what I consider to be his most amazing compositions, which is a really tough decision because he's composed about 200 songs in his lifetime. So I kind of had it sorted through and picked my favorites and also some of his most famous pieces. So if you didn't check out the video on his history and his life and times, you can click that on the screen and get all caught up on his life. And yeah, once you've got that figured out, then we're going to go forward, listen to some audio clips, and talk about some of his best music ever. The vast majority of the music Chopin composed was for the piano because it was his favorite instrument. So he was one of the very rare master composers to just kind of like specialize in one instrument. Most composers were like jack of all trades. They wrote a little string, a little trumpet, a little orchestra, a little piano. But Chopin pretty much always wrote for the piano. Even his compositions that involved orchestra instruments still centered around the piano. So that was kind of his thing. And because of that, his piano music generally only sounds really good on the piano. It doesn't necessarily translate well to other instruments. Chopin was a composer in the Romantic era, which means the Romantic composers tended to have like a very emotive and flashy style to them, and he was no exception. So this would have been music written in the early to mid 1800s. Chopin's music was uniquely rich and detailed while also being subtle and extremely emotive. So like you can listen to any of his pieces and experience like the full spectrum of like complete joy to like complete sorrow. He kind of covers it all. His greatest influences were Bach and Mozart, and he was known to travel with his Bach book of Prelude and Fugue just so he had something to practice. He really, really loved them. And he also taught Clementi's style, so he's very influenced by Baroque music in general. So the first piece of Chopin's that we're going to look at today, in no particular order, because there's no way I could like rank it from favorite to least favorite of my top 6 favorites. So we're going to talk about his second sonata in B flat minor. Now, Chopin wrote a few sonatas, but this one's my favorite because it's just like, it's utterly terrifying. It's freaky. So I'm going to show you a little bit from the third movement, which is the slow movement, and it's nicknamed the Funeral March. So I'm sure you've heard it before. So it's probably like, it's a freaky movement. Like, don't get me wrong, but like, it's really worth watching. I'll link it below, but listen to the whole thing because just from like start to finish, it is a ride.
Критика – это классы с характером. Сумасшедшее оружие.
Ladies and gentlemen, I take great pleasure in introducing my latest invention, the water transfer. When I'm locked up in it in the regulation manner, after it has been filled, my latest invention, the water transfer. When I'm locked up in it in the regulation manner, after it has been filled, my latest invention, the water transfer. When I'm locked up in it in the regulation manner, after it has been filled,
И я предлагаю вам скидку как первому клиенту моей новой компании.
Как быстро я могу увидеть сумму?
Буквально 2-3 дня после перевода.
Хватит! Простите, я не вам.
Большие деньги, Дима. Когда отдашь-то?
Ну как я могу отдать, если я не помню ничего?
Меня извините, но дело тут не в алкоголе.
Ты обманщик, Дима.
Может, это вообще все игра, и вы никакой не псих?
Вы не волнуйтесь, я 100% псих.
Starting out with any new project management software, usually you feel something like this. Where do you even start?
Alright, that being said, I'm getting word from up front that Red Goal is ready with his Dark Souls at 8%. Take it away, man.
Hello, this is Dark Souls. I'm Regal,
Hi, I'm Gramelios.
and I think we had a name incentive for this.
Last I checked, it was Sberbank.
Yeah.
Indeed, so the name that got met with $2,726 is Sberbank. That's spelled S-B-R-A-A-H exclamation point.
I don't know what that means, but that's cool. Cool. All right, just before we start, I want to mention that we're going to be starting Thief with Black Firebombs. Thief, because you get a free master key, and we're going to need the master key to open certain doors in the run, and Black Firebombs is going to help us to kill a few enemies a lot quicker. And other than that, we're ready to go. All right, get ready with timer countdown. 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck, man. So everyone, welcome to Dark Souls. This is a 3D combat-oriented action game. I'm sure many of you have seen it before. You play as the chosen undead, tasked with traveling the world and gathering up the Lord Souls in order to extend the Age of Fire. But since this is any percent, we'll be doing very little of that. Like all Dark Souls runs, you start here in the Undead Asylum with the goal of escaping past the Asylum Demon. Right off the bat, while climbing this ladder, Regal's going to go ahead and take off all armor in order to maintain fast rolling throughout the entire run. That's going to be very important. Coming up into the next room, and we're about to come face to face with the Asylum Demon. To beat this guy, most players will take a lap and then initiate the fight with a plunging attack. However, if you look in the bottom left, you can see those 10 black firebombs. Turns out you can take out this guy with a total of 5. So it begins 1, 2, 3 while rolling towards the door and using the impact. That's a slow attack.
Yeah, that's not one you want to see, but we dodged it.
There we go. That's one boss down. So it turns out that even taking out the Asylum Demon early, we still have to do some cleanup here in the Asylum. First, by grabbing the first proper weapon of the run, the Bandit's Knife. Here it is. It doesn't deal a lot of damage, but it deals enough.
Yeah, we're going to be using it for Tourist Demon and another enemy after that, and that's pretty much it.
We're also going to free an NPC named Oscar, and rather than baiting the rolling metal ball, we're going to do something different. Turns out, if you exit and reload the game, your character standing up will break any breakable object like the wall that you happen to be next to. And it's loud.
Quit-outs are very powerful in Dark Souls. They can even break walls.
Yeah, so Oscar here gives you the Estus Flask. That's the primary form of healing, along with some additional keys. Even though, like Regal said, the Thief class starts with the Master Key, it turns out the Master Key is kind of deceptive. It doesn't actually open every door in the game, just a lot of them.
The ones we need.
Yeah. So opening this door, it's a very heavy door.
It takes quite a while.
Yeah. We're almost out of the Asylum. You can skip every cutscene in this game, thankfully, so you won't see more than a few frames of the animation, but a big bird comes and grabs you to take you to Lord Grand proper. So hooray, there's the Asylum, the easy part of the run. Here in Firelink, I want to draw attention to sprinting. It should be pretty intuitive that sprinting is faster than running, so we want to spend as much time as possible sprinting. One nuance there is that from a walking state, you can reach sprinting speed more quickly via a few methods like blocking or toggling weapons. So like right here, if you see these quick toggles or quick blocks, that's usually the reason why.
Yeah, it saves about 0.4 seconds over 1 minute of sprinting, but
And it's still time saved.
still saves time.
Yeah, going through these fog gates, you're about to see the introduction to the bridge drake that we'll see later. You can just block in and roll right past it to not lose a lot of speed. Or, I mean, get staggered, but
I
then...
try to roll through the stagger, but it's pretty precise, and these guys are really annoying.
We're going to make a pit stop down at the Undead Merchant, and it's going to be hard to see because Regal's menuing is really fast because he's really good at this game. We're going to buy 4 different things. First, the rapier, which is a weapon. Second, the short bow, and then arrows for that bow, and finally the shield. All 4 of those things are going to have very specific functions in the speedrun, which we'll try to call out as they become relevant. But first, we have to make it through. Even though the Undead Burg is early, this area is really scary. Like this room, for example.
The scariest part of the run, honestly, in terms of the areas.
This guy in the door becomes invulnerable for a moment. Nice job getting through with no damage.
This door is also kind of scary.
We're going to use the Master Key to open it. Nice job. Okay, and we're through. From this chest, we're going to grab 3 gold pine resins. Gold pine resin is a weapon buff that applies the lightning effect to the right-hand weapon, which in this case is the Bandit's Knife, also just casually There we go, hopping over the barrel, faster than waiting for it.
I'm gonna heal real quick just for safety, because Taurus Demon can be pretty annoying.
Yeah. If we didn't say this, the Taurus Demon coming up is weak to lightning, which is why we grab those gold pine resins. Well, that and one more reason. The boss doesn't spawn until roughly halfway across the bridge, so we're going to run forward, dart to the right to hopefully dodge some arrows. So you can see him pass right behind, apply that gold pine resin. This boss is scarier than you might think, given how early it comes in the run. There's a lot of shockwaves from the hammer. He can move very erratically, and he can kick you as he moves around. And that should do it. One more hit, down it goes.
That was okay.
Well done. But we're not done yet. We just used one gold pine resin. You're about to see the second usage of it. Coming up is one of the more famous, or maybe infamous, portions of Dark Souls, the Bridge Drake, that's about to fly overhead and douse the entire bridge in fire. We can avoid getting cooked to a crisp by getting in this alcove off to the right. And then while the fire is dissipating, pulling out the bow and arrow that we just bought from the merchant in order to bait down the Drake, like so. Next, you're going to very quickly apply a gold pine resin and hopefully dodge this arrow hit. Very close. 1, 2, 3 hits. Get to the Drake sword.
Nice. Alright, the
Yeah.
area's part of the resin.
The Drake sword is a very powerful early game weapon. We're not going to use it just yet, but you'll see it in the near future. Also just going to drop some unnecessary items.
Yeah, you want your inventory to be pretty clean for multiple reasons.
Да. Ну, наоборот. Женщина, у тебя проблемы, что ли, какие-то? Хорошо. Ну, вот это он имеет в виду. А, ну это да. Вот так нет. Ага, нормальная категория. Категория ненормальная у тебя там, да? Алиграни. Ну, что это не получится? Терапевт. Вот это. Ну, да. Вот и надо. Ну, наоборот, ну, вот есть, да. Ну, да, типа того же. Время нажать или... Как играет ты? Ну, что ты хочешь сказать? Да что ты нажимаешь? Да. Украине. Хочу горячий. Городские. Городской.
Quels sont les métiers les mieux payés sur Terre? Médecin, avocat ou encore chimiste? Ces personnes touchent en moyenne un salaire de 7000 € par mois. Ils ont un grand diplôme, un bac plus 5 minimum, et ils ont une carrière déjà avancée avec 10 ans d'expérience. Mais alors, pourquoi je touche autant qu'eux alors que j'ai rien de tout ça? Pas de diplôme, pas d'expérience et je suis jeune. En fait, il y a une seule raison pour laquelle tu peux être payé cher aujourd'hui. Résoudre des problèmes. Le médecin aide ses patients, l'avocat aide ses clients, et le chimiste trouve des remèdes pour aider les gens. Et moi, je fais quoi pour gagner autant qu'eux? J'écris des emails. Je sais, tu ne me crois pas, alors voici des...
こうマグロって日を追うごとに変化をしていくじゃないですか。あ、わかりますよ。マグロはもう絶対その味なんで。ツナコーディネーターの山口幸隆です。完璧主義です、マグロに関しては。不正確は完璧主義じゃないですけど、まあ。おいしい。他の国行くよ。
なるほど。あ、はい。
一番最初に本マグロは多分一番最初に本マグロは多分江戸時代から好まれてたんだと思います。でもその頃はトロは食べずに赤身を漬けという方法で食べてた。今はトロって高級なものじゃない。昔はトロは捨てるものだから、そのうちこうが脂があるから美味しい。まあ、トロって美味しいじゃない。トロって美味しいねって言ってだんだんトロ皆さんが多分文化的にはお寿司になくてはならないもの、絶対になくてはならないものっていう感覚っていうのは、多分お寿司っていうのが生まれた時にいろんなものを握った時にっていうのは、多分お寿司っていうのが生まれた時にいろんなものを握った時にマグロって本当美味しいんだなって。うちの会社グループ全部を合わせると、本マグロ、バチマグロ、キハダマグロ、マカジキ、メカジキ、5種類。マグロ何軒ぐらいか細かく分けると1000軒ぐらい、ぐらい1000軒ぐらいですか。その辺は入荷量をこう考えていきながら、特に今の時期はマグロが取れるように作っているんですよ。もうこれはもう明日に向けて止めてる魚です。全体的に今これから1ヶ月間ですごく魚悪いんですよ。基本的には冷凍で上場されるものは海外に取れたんです。アイルランド、ニューヨーク、カナダ、オーストラリア、ニュージーランド、ケープタウン、生はこの近海で取れたもの。あとはさっきも言ったようにノースキャロライナとか、あとはボストンから取れたものはその時期だけ空輸で運ばれています。何がなくてもマグロなければいけないというふうに考えればマグロが一番需要があると思います。切った瞬間は一番興奮するだろうね。切った瞬間は一番興奮するだろうね。あとヒレ取っちゃって。
Охренеть, а. Дорого, говорит, дорого, да. Они все выйдут. Ты слышал, нет? 90, ну ладно. Дорого, ну да, все нормально. Ну это... Знаете,
本マグロは、腹紙、いわゆる腹紙と言われる部分、一番これが高いマグロで、あそこの部分が一番高いんですよ。まずそれをはめていく。伊豆の下田です。まあ、下田に船が入ったっていうことなんですね。取ってる場所は黒瀬っていうところで、東京都三宅島とか島のところにある。ほぼいらないとこだから。で、この部分を残しておくと、この中って血の塊なんで、血が流れてこう汚しちゃうんですよ。もちろん目方をかけてから取るんで、まあ、お客さんには行くと目方って実際の目方と違うじゃないですか。それが信頼関係で、ね、お客さんだと言われてるから、もうきれいに掃除して出してくださいと。きれいに掃除をした方が状態がいいんで、そういうふうに出荷してるんで。今日これが一番土で高いマグロです。これは今日日本の二つ星のお寿司屋さん。俺がこう大事にしているところの一つにこう柔らかさってあるんだよね。やっぱり硬いマグロっていうのはお寿司にした時にシャリとこうなじまない。なかなかこういうマグロないですよ。素晴らしいね。マグロって買っておろしてみなきゃわからないんですよ。ついこの間もあったんですけど、1本600万で買ったマグロ、基本的に言うと1本200万で売っちゃいましたからね。買ったマグロ、基本的に言うと1本200万で売っちゃいましたからね。ついに高いマグロで気にしたマグロの時はなんかいつもドキドキかな。東ですよ。大丈夫かこれ。どうするの？貫通してんの？止まってもらってるけど、ここ全部使いねえよ。ノースキャロライナって感じだね。これでもいくらが紙ざらついてるわ。ノースキャロライナ難しいな。こういうやつ機械をするのは日本人は絶対ないんで、日本の漁師だとありえないですね。困った。困った。アメリカの漁師さん、例えばボストンとかにしてもそうなんだけど、レジャーフィッシングやるじゃないですか。まあもちろん商売で取ってる方もいらっしゃるんだろうけど、こういう商品 の一番大事な部分に傷をつけるっていうのは日本の漁師さんはなかなかない、商品の一番大事な部分に傷をつけるっていうのは日本の漁師さんはなかなかない、これはこう寄せた時に盛り落ちるんですよ。で普通日本人は頭とかを合理なんていうか商品として一番大事なところは絶対盛り落とさない。せっかく日本で売るんであればね、日本のクオリティで持ってきてほしいよね。わお、すんげえそうするな。わお、すんげえそうするな。すんごいストレスだな、これしっかりしな、これな。すんげえそうするな。わお、すんげえそうするな。すんごいストレスだな、これしっかりしな、これな。毎晩睡眠時間4時間寝られればいいかな。いわゆる商品をプロとして、責任を持って出せなくなったらマグロをやめます。
Нет, спасибо, мне на сегодня хватит. Ты же раньше сама не пьющая была.
Я и сейчас не пьющая, просто живу без крайности. И ты попробуй.
Типа по определенным случаям можно.
Именно.
После тяжелого рабочего дня.
Ну да.
Когда гуляешь.
Бывает.
Когда непогода, дома уныло, скучно.
И что с тобой?
Не знаю, я просто слышал, что ты машину свою разбила по особому случаю.
Зануда.
Алкоголь разрушает вашу жизнь.
Сколько шагов вам осталось до цели? Не меньше 1000. Похвально. А чтобы заработать 1000 рублей, нужно всего 2 шага. Оформляйте бесплатную мультикарту ВТБ Виза и совершайте первую покупку. Получите 1000 рублей на счет. ВТБ, все получится.
マグロになった時にこの中で一番になってやろうっていう思いがもう22ぐらいの時に僕あったんで、一番好きなマグロ、冬は脂を味わうとか、春は香りを楽しむとか。でも、夏に脂がないから脂の喜びって感じるんで、それはそれでいいと思うんですよ。で自分が好きなのはその中で一番バランスがいいのは、4月5月に取れる日本海佐渡島周辺で取れる、それも定置網っていう漁法で取れるマグロが一番好きですかね。僕の中ではどうだろう、年間に100本あるかな、何万本何千本何万本で買う中で年間僕が気に入ったマグロ100本ぐらいしかないんですけど、それは値段はつけないです。いくらでも買う。